Nintendo is taking their time with the actual reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2, but that doesn't mean they've been completely quiet about it. At first, all we knew was that the console would be revealed until the end of March 2025, but that wasn't enough. With the constant release of new titles, people started wondering, was it even worth buying those games if the new console was so close to being released? Well, hey, I'm not so ace trainer, we finally have an answer, and how does it affect our pocket monsters? Let's get into it. Before we continue, I want to thank my YouTube member Dash Plays and my Twitch subscribers Anubis here, Retsamnegi, Zanes222 and Nightshades. Thank you so much for going the extra mile and helping make my content possible. And now, on to the video. So, Mr. Furukawa, the president of Nintendo, took to X/Twitter to reveal that the successor of the Nintendo Switch will not only have Nintendo Switch Online, but also be able to play games from the current Nintendo Switch. This is such a huge announcement and I have no idea why they turned it into a simple tweet. People would go crazy about this in an actual direct. There are basically two things we've been craving about this console, and it's knowing the actual specs of the console and knowing if it actually plays the games from the current Nintendo Switch. Kinda like I've been craving your like and subscribe, so please do that. But yeah, they revealed it, and this means that, if we assume the obvious, that the next console will be more powerful than the current one, we will see an improvement in performance from games that we already have. This is important not only for games coming out closer to the end cycle of the current Switch, but also other games along the way. I remember buying Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and seeing a slideshow way too many times. But of course, we're not here to talk about that. There's one simple game that we as Pokemon fans cannot ignore: Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet. I have a review of these games if you want to check it out, but it's crazy how different they perform from the other main series Pokemon games on the Switch. Let's Go performs basically perfectly on this console, but they're more contained games, same as BDSP, whose problems came from the devs and not from the system. When it comes to Sword and Shield, we saw it having trouble mostly during max raids or Dynamax battles in general, but it didn't affect actual gameplay, besides a few hiccups in hazardous weather. And while we saw some performance issues in Pokémon Legends Arceus, it wasn't that prevalent. Where in Scarlet and Violet, you'll find it in many places, with some of them being extremely frustrating to play in. Places like Tactory Thicket, Casseroya Lake, or Asado Desert during a sandstorm, even the Crystal Pool in Kitakami. Those places were very hard to play in, and while we cannot really know for sure, the console might play a role in that performance. So, with the new console, the Nintendo Switch 2, having more power than the current one, could Scarlet and Violet finally be the games they were meant to be? Well, yes and no. I remember a while ago there being some conversations about how some parts of Scarlet and Violet were coded to be a certain way, because they would play the same in a regular console and on an overclocked one. The biggest example of this was the Artisan Windmill. This thing takes quite a lot of approaching until it doesn't look like a slideshow, but that has nothing to do with the game's performance, at least not directly. It is coded to be that way in order to make sure the performance doesn't suffer. If something is far away, you supposedly do not need it at full speed or at full detail. This is also the reason why they make Pokemon and NPCs pop in and out depending on the distance. It makes the game run better. These things, unless there is a patch, will not be changed, and I find it very hard to believe that there will be one, considering how Pokémon Legends ZA is so close to being released. They are coded to be that way, and so they will remain that way. But that doesn't mean that we won't see any improvements, as everything else might be smoother. I find it very hard to believe that new, more powerful hardware won't run unlocked games better, both in handheld and in docked mode with a better resolution. But is it too late? Honestly, I think it might be for some games and not for others, since some games have a better replayability and others not so much. As for Pokemon, well, we don't know exactly when Z2A will be released, and we don't know when the new console will be released. Pokemon fans have either older games to play again, or their Scarlet and Violets to continue exploring, shiny hunting, building new teams, or even taking care of raid events, since we're gonna have a shiny Rayquaza 1. So, in terms of impressions and your opinions on the games, nothing will change, either you like them or you don't. But in terms of comfort, things are gonna get a lot better for sure. Shiny hunting, for example, will be a lot better, especially in water, since that was pretty bad. I still have nightmares about shiny hunting Veluza. But I think the best is still ahead of us, starting with Z2A, since I believe that's when the console will actually start showing its true value from the very beginning. The game will likely come out for both consoles or for the Switch and be able to be played on the Switch too, but you'll clearly see a big difference between both. So instead of looking at what this console can do to help the past, since it can help it, but it won't change it, I think we're better off just looking at the future and how it can help shape something awesome for us Pokemon fans. But that is all I have for you today. Let me know your thoughts on the future of Pokemon in this new console in the comments down below. And also become a channel member, check out the merch, like and subscribe, and follow me on all the links in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.